I have not been to Minnesota in probably 20 years.
Bring gas. Welcome to Flagrant Howls, a Minnesota Timberwolves lifestyle podcast.
Kyle Theige in his new humble abode. I'm waiting to see one of these episodes. You're just gonna have the setup, because I kind of have some stuff in the background here. I'm curious to know what your professional podcast media setup is gonna be. Are you gonna have
it's in the works.
Shelves of books, or what's your plan?
It's in the works. I'm still debating. I also like this white background that looks like I'm in a prison cell is also my background for work. So I was like, how many Nas Reed towels can I have in the back before the job that pays me is like, hey, cut that out. So we'll do an office tour maybe later in September, but that's on the list now. But first, I think I told you this, right? After today, I'm headed out to your country for 10 days just to do lake stuff and go to Twins games, and then I'll come back and figure out the studio.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, quick side street here before we're going to do an Anthony Edwards Olympic recap episode and some questions from both of us, a random Wolf of the Week. If you had a Timberwolves display behind you, your history as a Timberwolves fan and media member, what are the things that would have to be in there to symbolize?
Listen, we don't.
I'll give you Michael Beasley's toaster if you want to put that up there for sure.
I gotta be vague on this sometimes because I know I have friends and family listening. I have a relative that owns a bar in North Dakota. It is one of a kind bar. That's all I'm going to kind of go with that. But when I was way younger, before I had my own house, which is I'm 3 weeks into it, I got one of the coolest neon Timberwolves bar signs. The ones that when you turn them on, they kind of make like you're trying to kill flies, and also probably going to burn down the house. But that has to go behind me at some point. Get it mounted, put it on a shelf, whatever. Turn that thing on. That's my pride and joy. And then I've got some signed Rubio stuff and a Kobe basketball that I want to put up there. But
how about a framed Nikola Pekovic tracksuit? Could we?
Or just
a velour top to a tracksuit.
Or I guess more timely would be some drugs from him. But I know that neon sign is, if I could have that neon sign over one of my shoulders, that would be sweet. I don't know how it would work with the audio, but the studio is a work in progress right now. It's just littered with boxes, but I'm excited to kind of copy what you got, because like I said, every time we do these, I look at that Slam poster, which, by the way, did you see Nas Reed on the latest Slam poster?
Yeah.
It looks really cool. So
it's awesome. Yeah, he did the interview. Yeah, it's a can. I kind of wanted to. People have like Tom Pelissero is a friend. NFL Network used to be a colleague, and he literally the NFL has a crew that does this for people that work for NFL media.
Oh,
so
no way.
Judd and I went over to his place probably 4 years ago to do just a fun podcast recapping a historical Viking season, and we're drinking whiskey and hanging out in his basement. He goes, "Do you guys want to see? You guys want to see my home?" He was very excited, my home NFL Network studio. We're like, yeah. And we walk in, and it's just the whole wall is shelves of football books and helmets and all these things. And I was like,
that's so
dude,
sick.
Did you and your wife put this together? He goes, no, they literally flew multiple people out from wherever, LA or New York, and they put together a carefully curated. I think he had some input into, okay, I covered the Vikings and the Packers, and I want a couple things from those. But they have ESPN, NFL, NBA. They literally have crews that will decorate people's home studios. It's amazing.
I'm gonna see if Dane will fly out and do that for me. But I do. There's kind of piles of all the boxes left are this pair of Kobe shoes. Remember that night that he dropped? Was it 81?
Yeah.
No, not 81. His last game.
Oh, 60 against the Jazz.
Yeah. So there was a pair of shoes from that, that Nike made. So I have a lot of memorabilia that at my age I've been saving up and I'm ready to show off. I mean, talking about podcast backgrounds, which is the most August thing ever, by the way. Judd has a good setup. I mean, Judd's got all the bobbleheads and stuff. So I need something better than what I got right now, but it's a work in progress. And once it's ready, I can't wait to show it off.
I wanted some things, and then we can get into actual Anthony Edwards topics here. Some things that represented the roots of my fandom of Minnesota sports. To me, it was 90s, early 2000s. So the KG Slam cover is from 2000, I want to say, or 2001 maybe. And then the horizontal, and for the audio audience, sorry, this is kind of a visual for the YouTube channel, but Score North YouTube channel, click that subscribe button. This is a Monday Night Football game panoramic picture. Metrodome, 49ers against the Vikings. I think it's Steve Young at quarterback for the Niners, and then the Vikings ragtag defense from like 1994, whatever year it was. And then you can kind of see on some of the different angles, you can see the Sports Illustrated canvas here. That's Jim Thome hitting a mammoth home run first year at Target Field, which is the first year I covered the Twins beat as a beat writer. So I don't know. I'm a nerd for collectibles and posters and canvases and different things like that.
I'm just a nerd for, again, finally having my own office and studio. Just putting stuff up in it. Kind of, it's kind of like a man cave, but on the upstairs. So yeah, that was 5 minutes of talking about podcast backgrounds, but I will improve my setup come season. I have a deadline of October 1st, which as we're starting, today we're doing this, right? August 15th in the morning on the West Coast, but a couple hours from now or when this posts, we'll know the whole Timberwolves schedule. So
yeah, is that I was hoping it'd be out like right now. What time is that officially going to be released?
Again, this is great podcasting. I think it'll be like 1 p.m. maybe on the West.
Okay.
But we will know later today on Thursday all 82 games. We know the Wolves will be playing on Christmas. You might have heard that here first. The Wolves will be opening the season on that first night in LA. You might have heard that here first. So we got to find out where the other 80 games are, although there was also that press release of 4 or 5 of their like in-season tournament games. So we're starting to piece together the schedule. I wish they would just throw it at us. I have no desire to be leaked like Wolves Wizards February 23rd. Like, all right, just give me all 82 of them. But
are we going to pick the schedule every game like we do for when the Vikings schedule comes out?
We
1
should.
through 82.
That would be, let's just do an 82-minute pod where we do 1 game per minute.
Yeah, by the time we get to like the 73rd minute and we're breaking down a mid-March game against the Grizzlies, I'm not sure. But so, all right, I got some Anthony Edwards questions for you here. Just let's put a bow on his Olympics, gold medal run. My God, Steph Curry just with the most. You and I actually did a breakdown with our guy Craig Kilborn on his YouTube channel earlier this week, and so we might repeat some of those talking points. But in general, how do you think Anthony Edwards' Olympic experience impacts his career moving forward, like starting this year and then over the next 5 to 8 years as he emerges into his prime?
I just, it was obviously fantastic that they won gold. The Team USA should always be winning gold, even though the rest of the world and specific countries have caught up. We still have the most talent. But for him to just be around, like we talked about last week, just LeBron and Steph and KD, and learning probably a lot of stuff that we don't see right behind the scenes of what are they doing for workouts? What are they doing? I know they're in Paris and they are grade AAA celebrities, but like, what is their sleep routine like? What are they eating? As much personality, and we know this now 4 or 5 years in, as much personality as Ant brings to the table, he still very much is a young kid who is open to learning from older and more mature people than himself. So I just think he's going to come back with not only like, how do I handle being a super duper star on a global stage, but also, what are some things I can do in my workouts? He still references to this day the Steve Kerr pre-draft workout where it's like, you're not going hard enough. And now you watch him in like pre-game before a game and it's like he is dripping sweat. So hanging out with KD, there was that video where they're coming off the bus into their hotel with their gold medals. They're all celebrating, and KD comes off, and Ant is right behind him like a little brother. I thought that was just super cute, if nothing else. So I would imagine he learned a lot both off the court and on the court, but it sets him up right at 22, or he can just turn 23. It sets him up to, again, just have this next level of what is his ceiling at this point. It's limitless, because not only is he producing for his local team, but he's doing it on a grand stage now at the Olympics too. So I'm just really excited, because if you said 6-7 months from now he's second in MVP voting or third in MVP race, would that surprise you?
No, I think one of the things you hit on was just him sort of trailing Kevin Durant and him, the behind the scenes, the workouts, the process of what goes into some of these GOAT players that are on this roster, right? LeBron and Steph and KD. And I think we can all relate. There's times in our professional life or personal life, or maybe you're working out to lose weight or whatever it is, and like at your job, you think you know what you're doing. You think you're operating at a high level, or you get into a fitness kick and you think that you're going hard. You think that you're I'll give you just a dumb personal example. So I am like by no means an athlete. I played football in 8th grade, high school baseball. So, but my wife and I did get a Peloton like 3 or 4 years ago, and it's one of the best decisions we ever made. Kind of expensive, but once you realize, oh, you can just like roll out of bed and hop on this thing and at least get 30 or 40 minutes of work on it. And I remember like 2 months ago, I do a podcast on the side with two former NFL players, 300-pound guys that are just massive. They are machines athletically that are also large body mass, Alex Boone and Jeremiah Searles. And I was telling those guys, because they talk about all the like the weightlifting that they still do. And Alex Boone did a triathlon called Escape from Alcatraz like a year ago, where you're literally swimming with sharks in the Bay Area from Alcatraz to the shore. And I like proud Phil Mackey was like, guys, I just PR'd 45-minute Peloton ride. I just PR'd. My output was whatever it was. And they're both like, oh, okay. What was your output? Your output, well, that's pretty good. I said, well, what do you mean? What do you guys do on your Pelotons? And Jeremiah was like, I literally double your output on a Peloton ride for 45 minutes. I'm finishing first or second. And here's how I do it. Here's some of the things. Some of the things like you can't replicate because you're 5'7" and not athletic. But like it was in that moment where you think you're putting in as much effort as you possibly can. You think you've hit a new level, and then you meet somebody else that's like, oh, actually, I lap you times 3. Anthony Edwards at practice with LeBron, working out with LeBron, Steph, and Kevin Durant. Like he comes in thinking and even telling the media, I'm the guy on Team USA, right? And then by the end, you're watching Steph Curry hit fadeaways from 35 feet over 2 defenders to ice the Olympics. And you have to be thinking in that moment 2 things. 1, awesome, we won the gold. But 2, I am not on that level. I am not on the level of 3 of the greatest players of all time. And I think that can either kind of demoralize you a little bit or maybe make you insecure. Or I think in Anthony Edwards' case, I think it's just another log on the fire, man. Like I think it's just more drive for him to get to that level as quickly as possible.
I saw some people after we did our immediate reaction to the winning the gold or whatever, that Serbia game, that some people were like, well, if Ant was an alpha, why wasn't he out there? I don't even really love like the alpha talk because I think it's just a vague word, but it's like, yeah, Ant can be the alpha of his team and a 22-year-old All-NBA guy and elevating a mediocre franchise, but like there are levels to alphaness. Yeah, he is not LeBron James. He's not Steph. He's not KD. So for him to have those moments in the lead up to those big medal games and, you know, be the leading scorer in times, but when it was really, you know, some of the best basketball in that Final Four, you know, against Serbia and then in the gold medal game, you still relied on the best of the best. And it was cool to see, you know, Steph hits that 3 and Ant is jumping up and down like if you and I were sitting courtside. So, I mean, big picture, again, it's all just not what has he learned about carrying yourself as a super duper star from LeBron, or what has he learned from Steph's shooting routine before a practice. But also, you know, Spo and Ty Lue and Steve Kerr were all, I mean, his assistant coaches were some of the best NBA coaches in the league. So what did he learn from those guys? I just think it's a great experience. I mean, hell, Tyrese Halliburton, who didn't play, is going to come back with so many new tools in his bag and so many things. So I think the future is bright for not only Team USA, because it's going to be led by Ant and Halliburton and maybe Tatum in 4 years when it's in LA, but it just kind of is a big moment for him. I know Judd's point always is he doesn't like the guys playing international. I think the Wolves, you know, knock on wood, avoided any catastrophic injuries or anything like that. Rudy has a bad finger. He'll be good. So I think it was
Joe Ingles got some rest, which is good.
Yep, Joe Ingles is well rested to watch Terrence Shannon Jr. take his minutes. I just think it's going to be, you know, a good showcase for even Nikhil had his moments for Canada, but they avoided injury. They got to play real serious basketball. They get a couple months off. But all 3 of those guys and even Joe, like they should come back from that experience pretty motivated for a team that as we get the schedule out and stuff, and you're starting to see, you know, when we get the schedule today, Phil, we're going to know how many national TV games they get. I'd be shocked if it's less than 20, to be honest with you. Like, I know that's a crazy number when...
It was like 5, though, last year to
yeah,
start.
And I might be including NBA TV, but they're going to be... You're going to see later today that they're thrown on the map, and a lot of that is because of Ant, and a lot of that is because of what he's done in the lead up to this schedule release. So it's just, this is about as high as the stock price for the Timberwolves has been, even though there are still, the ownership thing lingers over them. We talked about this with Kilby the other day about the Le Batard kind of thing about how if the ownership thing goes wrong and then Tim Connolly gets out, does Ant want to get out? Those things still exist and probably put somewhat of a cap on Timberwolves stock price. But man, if you've been holding shares, you're doing pretty well right now.
Actually, I do want you went down the path of the 2028 Olympic team. I think it'd be a fun exercise for us to fill that out on this episode and decide where does Anthony Edwards rank in that pecking order. So let's put a pin in that, circle back. Since you brought up the Le Batard, I guess, kind of a report, Le Batard super plugged in to Pat Riley, Miami Heat, also plugged in with A-Rod. Him and A-Rod have had a great relationship for 20 or 30 years. And A-Rod was on Dan Le Batard's South Beach Sessions podcast, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. Kind of just like opening up his soul about therapy and different things. But we haven't had this discussion, you and I, on this podcast. So just real quick, for the audience, Dan Le Batard, and I'm summarizing, I don't have it in front of me. He essentially said there's a scenario in the future that he is sort of hearing rumblings about that's something to keep an eye on for the Miami Heat. But I think other teams would probably keep an eye on this too.
Yep.
That if Glenn Taylor wins control of the team officially back, I mean, he has it right now, but like if he wins this legal battle, which picks back up in November, and if A-Rod and Mark Lowry are at a dead end, Tim Connolly likely opts out of his contract next summer because he opted in to work for Alex and Mark. And at that point, could Anthony Edwards look around and say, wait a second, like I was kind of vibing with the whole A-Rod and Lowry thing, and I was kind of vibing with Tim Connolly here, and now I'm not so sure about this thing. If the architect who is building this thing is gone, and if there's uncertainty beyond an 83-year-old Glenn Taylor, then that might open the door for Anthony Edwards to make some noise at some point in the next 2 or 3 years. A lot of Wolves fans dismiss that as just like fear-mongering, and ordinarily I would too. But dude, if you flip it around and you say, hey, the entire infrastructure is going to be shaken up in the next 12 months, very plausibly, by the way, could that impact Anthony Edwards' desire to stay in Minnesota? I think the answer is yes. I'm not saying he's going to immediately demand out, and I don't really know how the Heat kind of factor into this. Like other teams would also be interested in trading for Anthony Edwards, but I'm not trying to plant fear in the heads of Timberwolves fans, but is there a chance that some major infrastructure shakeup could happen in the next 12 months? Yes. Is there a chance that Anthony Edwards could not be happy with those shakeups? Yes. That's kind of how I see it.
I've always said that if Ant's not on the team, I'm done doing this, which isn't like a threat. It's just kind of an announcement of I'm not going to go back to doing podcasts on a 20-62 team. I think we've been pretty open on this pod about, we do this enough, right? That you kind of know people, you talk to people, or familiar with a lot of folks. I can just 100% tell you it's not fear-mongering. I don't think it's Miami Heat related. I think Le Batard, based in Miami, is like, and the Heat are kind of struggling now to find that superstar again. Like, how do they get in the mix? This is the gift and the curse of having one of those guys, right? Is when you have the thing that becomes really popular and everyone wants, when there's trouble at home or there's drama, people start to try to see if they can put their foot in the door and take that away from you. So with Anthony Edwards, I would imagine he's never been happier. He's got everything set up. He owns the franchise, basically, even though Glenn technically has his name on it. He loves working with Tim Connolly. Finch is like almost a father to him. If all of that later this fall goes in a poor direction, I don't think it's crazy to do the dominoes of what you just said of, does Tim Connolly then just say, this is not who I agreed to work for, I'm out 9 months from now? And then does Anthony Edwards say, wait, we're going to do this again? Like, we're going to go through and sell the team to someone else and have all these. I mean, it's no different. I know people don't love this, Phil, but it is no different, the Minnesota Timberwolves playing for them, than it is your organization that you work for. If there's just constant upheaval or chaos, at some point you'd be like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want stability. I want good leadership. So I don't think there's anything to worry about now, but it's why, and I get no one wants to talk about the ownership thing. I don't want to talk about it anymore. But if that doesn't go swimmingly or smoothly, or they don't land the plane in a good direction, it does open up, despite the good share price of being a Timberwolves fan right now, it does open up a lot of, scary alternatives of guys being like, hey, I don't want to play for dysfunction. I don't want to be in a dysfunctional organization. And hell, maybe I don't want to play for Glenn Taylor. So unfortunately, that's like the wet blanket on what has been a really great 2024 for the Timberwolves, but it is real. I'm just telling you, take my word, whatever you want. Like, it is a real thing that if Glenn keeps the team, it could get weird up and down the roster and everywhere else in that pecking order.
Yeah. Which is, it's sort of ironic because on the flip side, Glenn Taylor in the short term has agreed to take a huge bath financially to pay second apron luxury tax, and like in the short term is sort of portraying himself as a knight in shining armor. But I wish this thing, like my last thought on this is, I wish that the court hearing or the whatever the next scheduled arbitration hearing was in August or September and not November, so we could just quicken the timeline on this. Because then you're going to have, I think it's a 30-day window for the NBA Board of Governors, but that also is in like peak holiday season, so it's possible it could leak into January. So we're going to be like halfway into the next season by the time this thing probably gets ironed out, unfortunately.
Jace Frederick tweeted this out the other day. I can't remember who actually had the data, but they just kind of revamped the valuations for basically all the pro teams in the United States. And the Wolves came in, I think, 28th valuation.
Just under $3 billion, like $2.8 billion.
Just under $3 billion, which is like when they sold for what was 1.6 or whatever, I was like, I know for a fact 3 years ago that they're worth like 2.1, and now fast forward to now. So I don't care anymore. I mean, I care about the result because I do think that internally there's just more and more people that are clinging or excited about the vision of new ownership, and I think they've been quiet because they do want to just let this arbitration thing play out. But it is just unnecessary. No matter what is involved, like if there was an agreement, it's just, I'm so tired of it. But it would be really Minnesota Timberwolves, right, if as they just sign a New Jersey sponsor that is buy now, pay later. If this thing
great troll job.
If this all gets derailed because of a buy now, pay later agreement that they can't iron out in the courts. So I don't want to talk about that stuff anymore. But when you hear that a Levitard, or you hear, if the Wolves start out slow, that is the curse of the blessing of having Ant be the youngest player on Team USA winning a gold, is that every other team in the league now, if they even have a sniff of maybe things aren't great up in Minnesota, they're going to start putting the packages together, right, of picks and stuff, and you'll hear those fan bases clamoring, because that's how the NBA works right now, is disgruntled superstars kind of get their way. But for now, I think there's twofold, right, Phil? Like it's something to think about or to put in your to-do list down the road, but for now, I can't imagine that the vibes have ever been higher downtown Minneapolis, because this team is really, really good, has a lot of great young talent, has a great president of basketball operations, great coaching staff, not just Finch, and they're going to be projected to win 55-some games this next season.
Yeah. Okay, let's build a 2028 Olympic team, and then we'll do a random Wolf of the Week. I do want to tell the audience we are giving away right now on the Score North app in the listener awards section a 75-inch Roku Pro Series 4K TV that automatically adjusts color and sharpness for your shows, your basketball games, your movies. Nearly an $1,800 value. We're giving it away at the end of the month here. Just open the Score North app, go to Listener Awards, and you'll see the 75-inch Roku Pro Series 4K TV giveaway. So check that out. So, okay, I think 12-man Olympic roster. I think you're saying goodbye in 4 years to LeBron, Curry, and Durant. 3 GOATs. Mm-hmm. Some people might argue on Durant that he'll be like 39 or 40 and still just be sniping.
I could see him still being on the team, but like in that last, I mean, again, LeBron was on it as kind of the elder statesman 40-year-old. I could see KD being on it, but he also has done a lot for Team USA that maybe it's just a complete youth movement.
Was it 4? I think
he's
Durant
I think he has 4, yeah.
4? Let's, for the purposes of this exercise and to make it more fun, we'll take those 3 guys off. Drew Holiday is going to be gone. Derek White he's like 33 or something. He's gone. Or was he 30? Whatever. We're taking him off. I've seen some debate on Embiid and Anthony Davis. Those guys are going to be like 34 and 35 and have injury histories already. Mm-hmm. I'm taking those guys off, man. Like, I would be shocked if Joel Embiid and Anthony Davis, with their bodies and just everything, 4 years from now, unless you want to fight me on those guys.
No, when you talk about KD, I was thinking about this, or even AD, it would make sense that the oldest player on the team, as we build this roster quick, is going to be like a Tatum or something. But I keep coming back to the fact that this is going to be in LA. And, like a Kevin Durant, is he, hell, is LeBron still in the league 4 years from now for the Lakers? Because he's probably going to demand a spot, because as cool as the Olympics are going to be in the United States, and I hope everyone gets a chance to go to some event. I mean, someone said this the other day on a pod, like the basketball, both men's and women's, those tickets are going to be the hardest ticket to come by, because it's going to be at Staples or at the Clippers' new arena. So you might have some of the elder statesmen still want to be a part of it because it's in kind of their backyard.
Yeah. So maybe there's a couple of these guys, but just for this exercise, we're taking all those guys off. And that leaves 5 players from the current roster with 7 open spots we have to fill. So Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton, Bam Adebayo, and Devin Booker.
Yep.
And we're looking for 7 other American players. Unless you want to like pilfer dual citizen, if you want to like form a real super team and get Jokic to convert his loyalty from Serbia to the United States, where he, his career resides. But short of like, hey, Wemby, do you want to come play for the American team? We're looking for like actual American-born players who are potentially planning on playing for Team USA. So which 7 players are we adding to this ride? Who are the first ones that jump out to mind for you?
So to me, it's like you could throw a bunch of names at guard or at the wing. You can throw Jaylen Brown in there. You could throw, like, just off the top of my head, Jalen Brunson, De'Aaron Fox. Paulo will be on there, I would imagine.
Yes, Banchero for sure.
From the Magic, it's kind of a wing. To me, what's really intriguing, and you kind of touched on this earlier with like the Embiid-Davis thing, I would imagine Bam's on there again. But as you saw in this last Olympics with Jokic and some of these other teams, you do need legitimate size. Not just on the wing.
Thing. Yes.
Cade Cunningham would be another one, big guard that you can put on this roster. But in terms of the bigs outside of Bam, like what does Jaren Jackson Jr.'s career look like 4 years from now?
Derek Lively?
Derek Lively would be good. I know Wolves fans who watched him in that Mavs-Wolves series probably like he doesn't have much offensive game. I think that's okay. I think a guy that can...
That's actually fine. Hey, dude, rebound and block shots, and we're not feeding you anything. Just clean up the glass.
I mean, Mavs fans kind of compare him to a young Tyson Chandler. Tyson Chandler was really great for Team USA when he served in that role of just getting rebounds, protecting the rim, and also stealing the ball off the rim with that FIBA rule. So Derek Lively would be one. Chet Holmgren, local product. If he continues to, if the Thunder continue to be really, really good and he continues to develop, Chet Holmgren's kind of like the perfect guy to play international basketball.
He is.
He can spread the floor. He's, physical. He can protect the rim.
Evan Mobley?
Evan Mobley, maybe. Cooper Flagg, I know it sounds weird now because he's going to college next month, but it's kind of like the Ant thing. So 4 years from now in the United States, is Cooper Flagg like, kind of like on the Wemby? I mean, he's not going to be Wemby, but is he on that Wemby trajectory where he's a really big deal? So he might be on it because, again, they need size. But, I think at the wing, we didn't even mention like Jaylen Brown, if he gets his affairs ironed out with Nike or Team USA. Mikal Bridges, like just, again, trying to find more wing players that are switchable like this Team USA had. But they're going to lose some incredible names, right? That's the summary of this. LeBron, Steph, probably KD, but they're still going to be able to just funnel back in a bunch of guys who probably felt they were snubbed, like a Fox, like a Brunson. Devin Booker might be the elder statesman on this team, but they're still going to be really, really, really good, even if other countries continue to get, I'm sure Luka will be in the Olympics 4 years from now. Giannis still, maybe Jokic, I don't know, but the other countries are getting better, but Team USA still has, 15 dudes in the pantry that they can bring in.
So I'll give you, I think for the bigs, because you got to replace Anthony Davis and Joel Embiid in our scenario, and then also just like the size of LeBron and Durant, those guys, just massive wing players. So I love Banchero, Scotty Barnes. I'd throw his name in the mix. 6'7", 6'8". He can kind of do everything. He's 20 points a game. He can rebound. He can pass.
I think Scotty Barnes just doing this on the fly.
Oh, he was plays born in Florida. Canada, but he's from, he's definitely American.
Got tripped up there. Yep, you're right. He was born in Florida.
I'll throw him in there. And then here's 3 other names that we haven't mentioned, just for fun. Tyrese Maxey.
Yep.
Just looking for some buckets, right? Ja Morant.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
Do we welcome him back in?
That's a great one.
Just stop flashing guns on Instagram and, come on in. And then Zion Williamson. If he's healthy.
Crazy. I kind of forgot about him too. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy to think, oh my God, they're going to lose all the dudes that basically saved them in the gold medal game. And then they can still bring in, like Cade Cunningham to me, just off the top of my head, is a fun one because he has international size. I mean, he's a big guard. So they can go a bunch of different ways. I think I saw, right, Steve Kerr might be stepping down from that.
Yeah, it sounds like Spoelstra is going to step in. That's the rumor right now.
And I mean, with Spo, maybe he wants to just, like, every 4 years, Team USA does also kind of have a different personality. Maybe this one is just, maybe they want to run on guys, right? Maybe they just want to go. I mean, that's kind of what this roster did with like these hockey changes, like just go really hard for 5-6 minutes and then we'll sub a second line in. They can do that again, but you can go small at guard. I mean, Brunson is, I think,
Brunson has to be on the team. Unless Tibbs runs it's possible his career is over in 2028 with playing for Tibbs for 4 more years.
But, Brunson's on that smaller side. Morant's more athletic, but he's also on that smaller side. Do they want to have just a ton of big guards? I mean, that's kind of what they did with Drew Holiday and Derek White on this roster. So it is incredible to just think about what this team will lose and what they'll set off into the sunset with the big guys and the Hall of Famers and what they can still do. But the guy that we haven't really mentioned enough, maybe Devin Booker, Bam are the older guys on the team, but when you start looking at posters 2.5 years from now, 3 years from now, when they start promoting the LA Olympics, it's going to be Ant front and center.
Yeah. And that's part of this exercise too, is like, of all the 15 or 20 names we just listed, Ant is like on the billboard, right? He's one of the, it's him, Tatum, and Devin Booker. I mean, those are Jalen Brunson might have a say playing in New York for the next 4 years and scoring 30 points, but a 26-year-old Anthony Edwards with all these names we just mentioned. I know you don't like the word alpha, but well, isn't he the alpha of that billboard?
And Tatum will be 30, which is, he'll still be probably in his prime. But it kind of goes back to your original question of how important were just, even if they weren't full game reps or he didn't close certain games, how big were these reps for Ant to learn? Because this is a different style of basketball, right? It is far more predicated on, efficiency, not turning the ball over. You can't take plays off, right? I mean, there was even a couple times, again, where as good as Ant is on ball, off ball, he got backdoor cut by an international player. And like that stuff just all has to get cleaned up because there's 8 less minutes in a game in these 4 10-minute quarters. And every possession kind of matters. So I think that's big for Team USA. I think it's big for Ant to just learn that, kind of this no plays off mentality, even when he is exerting himself so much as an alpha for the Timberwolves. So I'm excited to see. I mean, again, the Olympics 4 years from now, and then we have the World Cup coming too. It's really, I woke up Monday and I was just bummed because there's no Olympics on. So
I was too. First time in a while I've felt that way about the Olympics.
I was like, I guess I have to watch Twins Royals, which I think they won, but it's nice to have that stuff in kind of the late July, early August part of your sports calendar. And I'm excited for 4 years from now because I know US will blow the Olympics, to the biggest we've ever seen, and USA men's and women's basketball, because we got to give love to the women. They are so dominant at they've won like 70 games in a row. That's going to be. But
dude, the world is, as you saw in both those championship games, like
that game was awesome.
The world is catching up. That's the other thing we talked about with Kilby the other day is with both the men and the women, but particularly the men right now. There's still this expectation that if you lose a game, even in pool play, it's a gigantic failure because we still have the same.
Yep.
A lot of us who were born, if you're in your 30s or 40s or older, and you remember the Dream Team and then Dream Team 2 in the 90s, and you literally saw these opponents that were losing by 65 points in awe of Shaq and Michael Jordan and asking for autographs between timeouts and stuff. Can't possibly lose to those type of teams. But dude, the world, if you look at the top 7 or 8 players in the NBA last year sorted by win shares, there's like one US born player among the top 7 or 8. And it's not going to change. I mean, France just had 4 lottery picks in this last NBA draft. So the talent and the world continue to catch up. And yet our expectation remains, even after losing LeBron, Curry, and Durant potentially for these next Olympics, you better bring it home, especially when it's in LA. Like you better not lose a game. You better beat everyone by double-digit points.
Great point.
It's just it's kind of a precarious spot because the Team USA is going into transition mode in 4 years, but the expectations and the hype and the interest is going to be at an all-time high. And the competition at an all-time high.
And again, women's basketball is just skyrocketing in popularity, which is fantastic. If both the men's and women's teams don't win gold 4 years from now in LA, it'll be on some, well, because it'll line up, I think, with presidential debates. It'll be on a ticket. Like you'll hear them talking about it. Like if I become president, I won't let Spo coach the team or something. So they better not mess that one up. But it's going to be, again, they're going to be so deep. I mean, I was thinking back to that gold medal game, men's USA versus France. Like Wemby crying from one crier to another. He thought that they were going to win that game. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the craziness, and that probably speaks to how his mentality is. But a 20-year-old, 21-year-old Victor Wembanyama thought we should beat LeBron, Steph, KD. So that mentality, like you were talking about, where, in the Michael Jordan days or the Kobe Bryant days, where the other team was just happy to be there and maybe get some signed shoes after the game, that is not the mentality anymore internationally. They think they can beat Team USA, so it won't get any easier moving forward, especially losing some of those Hall of Famers. But
yeah,
a lot of it's going to rest on Anthony Edwards. Like a lot of it's going to rest on Anthony Edwards 2 or 3 months from now.
That Serbian team in the semifinals was literally just bombing threes the first 3 quarters until they put a lid on the bucket in the fourth quarter, and trash talking the U.S. players in the front row. Like Carmelo was getting an earful from Bogdanovich and stuff. It's just,
but then to have
pretty wild, man.
To have LeBron having heroic moments in that game, in the gold medal game, with Carmelo sideline and then Dwayne Wade on the call, like kind of the banana boat guys. That was some of, I know we're a year or a week removed, but that was some of the best basketball memories I'll ever have. Just because, again, cool. I grew up watching all those guys play. I mean, and somehow, after we listed just complete Hall of Famers, Stephon Marbury was also there. Courtside.
Super random.
Talking smack, I think, to LeBron. So, okay, we can do Random Wolf quick and bring Ross
in.
No,
but we have Kyle's 2 questions of the week here.
Well, I want to hit you with this one because we've talked about Serbia a little bit, and we've talked about Jokic and stuff. And I've said my piece to Kilby the other day about just, I don't know, the Nuggets thing. I'll just put it this way, because obviously the Nuggets won the title 2 years ago. You and I were completely whiffed on that, called them Purdue, apologized, we were wrong. But then I was just thinking, like, with the J.J. McCarthy stuff and the injury and the Vikings and the Twins and the Wolves, the men's side of Minnesota sports. Hypothetically, right, this Purple Daily, but win one before I die, what would be, like, the timeline that if a Minnesota men's team won a title, how long would you give yourself, or how long should fans wait before they can complain? Because you know what I mean? Like, if one of your favorite Minnesota men's teams wins the title, are you going to complain the next year if they make bad transactions? Or are you going to be like, bleep it? Like, I'm taking 5 years off from ever being negative or mad. I'm just going to be so happy that I finally have a title to celebrate.
It's a great question, man. It's hard to know because I've literally no reference points in my life. I do vaguely remember as a 5 or a 6 year old showing up to first grade class or whatever it was in 1991, the day after Kirby Puckett hit the home run in Game 6. I remember staring at the newspaper clipping that, I think it was Miss Fish was my first grade teacher. Or maybe it was, we had a Mrs. Sacco was my second grade teacher.
That sounds made up.
No relation to mankind. Yeah. Dude, that's a great question. I'd love to sit here and tell you.
You can kick it around a little bit.
5 years minimum. But knowing me, and then also knowing Judd, if it's Purple Daily and if the Vikings were to win a Super Bowl, I think then at some point you would transition into, okay, can you get the most out of this era? Can you start to play catch up? Can you start to play catch up with the other franchises and get your second, your third, and take advantage of a window? I don't know. I'd like to tell you that I wouldn't be greedy. I just want one before I die, as we say on Purple Daily. But if you're a Chiefs fan now, I have some friends in like Kansas City media, and they went in Boston too. I have a couple friends who, like, I have a friend who worked for the Red Sox early mid 2000s and has seen this whole city change out there. And in the moment, like, you're happy to get the one, and it's this huge exhale and this, this pressure that's off the city. But then you start to get greedy and you start to get mad. Dude, Red Sox fans are ready to just be done with the entire ownership group now.
Oh, okay. All right.
So go talk to a Patriots fan right now. They don't care about the 20-year dynasty. They're pissed about the state of their franchise.
But okay, now you got me. You opened up a whole nother state and fan base. Again, I just kind of worry about my own teams and stuff. I don't really want to talk too much bleep about other teams, but like the Boston one too. I had a friend text me the other day who is from Boston and said, "What are your thoughts on this Jason Tatum thing?" And I got to watch my language on this, Paul. But I was like, dude, you just won a gold medal. You just won an NBA title, and we got to watch three of the best players of all time play at probably their peak powers and playing. Remember when LeBron and Steph didn't like each other, and now they have like their own handshake? So the Boston thing drives me crazy. The Nuggets thing kind of drives me crazy because, again, and you can marinate on it. I put you on the spot. Talk to Judd about it. But I come from the place where if the Twins, Vikings, or Timberwolves won a title, I would not get greedy. I would just be so happy to have that because I think you're a real loser if you are a Celtics fan and you just won a title and you're already doing like, we don't get enough respect. And I think that about the Nuggets fans. Like, there was this whole discourse about them cheering for Jokic over the United States. And
dude, I saw that. That was crazy. Kevin Durant jumped into that noise on Twitter.
If Ant played for, Ghana or something, or like the Paris or Australia, like, I don't think I would have cheered for Ant. Would you?
That's a
I don't think I would have. I would have been like, I want Ant to play well, but I want Team USA to play. Now we're getting down a whole spiral of patriotism,
dude.
But I just there's Nuggets
question,
fans
dude.
that are small market that won a title. They have Jokic, and there's like, we just want our flowers. It's like, dude,
but dude, if
I
you're
just want soil. Like,
Okay.
let's get some soil first.
But if you're
Jesus.
from Denver and you're a long-term Nuggets fan, this is a great, because my initial visceral reaction, because Kevin Durant retweeted some of this stuff,
and he was
and
spot
opened
on.
he opened my eyes to it. I didn't know that there were Nuggets fans cheering for Serbia in that game because they are more loyal to the star player that came up through their second round pick, through their organization, led them to their championship. Denver Nuggets fans are more loyal to the man who brought them all of those things than they are to the red, white, and blue on the chest of Steph Curry and LeBron James. And I kind of get it. Like, the way you just asked the question, if Anthony Edwards was playing for team whatever.
If he was playing for France.
All right, Team France. We have made Anthony Edwards French now, and he's playing for Team France. I would be rooting for him to go off because it's good for the Timberwolves if he's playing like really well against top competition. I don't know if I'm rooting against Team USA. Like, dude, when I was a kid, so I was a Twins fan, but this is before interleague play. Interleague play started in 1997, and half my family was from Chicago. And so, like, my dad was born in the Chicago area. My nana, my grandma. So I was a huge Cubs fan too. Like, I was just as big of a Cubs fan as a kid as I was a Twins fan, and they never played each other until interleague play until like 1998. And I would legitimately have, like, as a dumb like 10 or 11-year-old, these conflicts in my head of, what if the Twins and Cubs play each other in the World Series? Like, what
Right.
who would I cheer for? It almost happened in 2003 because both teams were awesome, and the Twins had a game on the Yankees in the playoff series, and the Cubs, the Steve Bartman year, never had to confront it. But dude, like, if you're a Nuggets fan, your loyalties are to probably the Nuggets and Jokic, and then also you love Team USA. It would be a legitimately. I know
tough.
you're framing it as be kind of stupid, but like, dude, it would be if Anthony Edwards, you love Anthony Edwards, you have Anthony Edwards jerseys. Are you going to really root for him to like miss shots in an Olympic game? I don't know.
I should say, I have some of my good friends cover the Nuggets. They have great beat reporters, and they weren't as much in the mix as maybe like a classic fan. It is a dilemma, I will say, myself as a Timberwolves content producer compared to a Nuggets content producer. My team does not have the best player in the world. We've talked about Ant being really, really good. Maybe he gets to top 5. He is not the best player in the world. It is Nikola Jokic. So I guess I can't fully put myself in their shoes, but whether they're like, you know what, for this one game, we want to see Jokic, like you said, go off. It'd be good for us. He's the guy that elevated our careers. He's the guy that got us here. But it was more so my rant about just this, like, we're not getting enough respect. It's like, I don't know, like, you got to go to a parade and watch all of your favorite players be blitzed out of their mind. Like, if you told me the Wolves were winning the finals next summer and then they were going to go 20-62 for 4 years, speaking for myself, I would sign up for that. I would completely sign up for that because I would get that one memory. I mean, I'm still salivating and crying every now and then about the Western Conference Finals run. Like, imagine if it was a title. Imagine for a couple months you were that team and you were that guy and you were that fan base. But think about it, because it got me thinking about Purple Daily and the Vikings and win one before I die. And that if you did win one before you die and you completed that challenge, if you woke up the next day and it was like they traded back in the second round, I would yell at you.
You know what, though? We've had discussions. Because people ask, if they do win one, what does the rallying cry of the podcast change to?
I guess
and
it's win another one.
Just one dynasty. Just one dynasty.
Oh boy.
Hey, okay, real quick. I think where we can agree on this, like, do you cheer for Jokic? Do you cheer for the player or Team USA? If Christian Brown were to play for Team Canada and Nuggets fans were cheering for Jamal Murray, right?
Yeah.
Were they cheering for Jamal Murray? The Canada didn't play the US in.
And again, they didn't have, like, if Aaron Gordon was on Team USA, right? Who, actually would be a nice piece for how you and I are trying to build the Team USA roster. It would be different. Denver fans did not have any of their players on Team USA, so that makes it a little different. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, and maybe I'm just making stuff off my own brain, and I wouldn't agree with that down the road. But I'm telling you, man, Anthony Edwards, like Nikola Jokic for Denver, Anthony Edwards has elevated my career and my ability to do all this stuff and make money and create content. If he was playing for France with Wemby against LeBron, Steph, and KD, I have his shoes, I have some autograph, I would be cheering for Team USA. Okay. I don't really get it.
I might cheer for Ant. I got to think more about this. I'm not sure. I need to know who's on the USA roster.
I'm glad you accepted that question because I didn't want to tell you about it. I just wanted to throw it to you. Again, comment, send us a message or something. Like, I want to know what you would do, but it is a great, fun, hypothetical, but I can't imagine, I don't know. I can't imagine being like, man, I hope Ant and South Sudan knock off Team USA. I don't know. I can't do it.
I hope Ant and Team China. I hope. What random teams can we put Anthony Edwards on? That's the question.
Nice polo, buddy. What's up? What's your thought on this?
The UND U of M rivalry here between producer Ross and Kyle.
Kyle, I'll try and be nice to you. I will say, despite your team not having any name, that's not a bad green that you're wearing. I'll give you that.
It is a sharp green. By the way, you can tell Gopher fans are classier because they have collared shirts.
Yeah,
you rough and tumble UND savages out there. You guys are.
They got to look better when they blow it in the Frozen Four.
I got one for you. Let's just move on from that, Kyle. I don't want to talk about that. Although I will say, when you guys are talking about championships, it all depends on how you value the championship. I know Kyle probably by design left out the Minnesota Wild. So if the Minnesota Wild won a Stanley Cup, he would still want the other three to win a championship. I would say I'm in the minority here. I take Gopher hockey national championships very seriously. That's why the Frozen Fours, the last handful of years, are utterly perplexing, especially with our guy Brock Faber being such a great NHLer, and somehow him and his team deciding not to play the second half against Quinnipiac. The final 30 minutes, I should say. That bugs me. Yeah, but anyways, I got one for you on the basketball topic very quickly. Sorry, I just came right in and overtook everything.
Yeah, this is your show now.
Joel Embiid got the Medal of Valor from Cameroon just yesterday or today. This is after he spurned them and didn't even play for Cameroon in the Olympics.
Yeah. Well, he was pretty open, right? He said.
How do we feel about that?
He doesn't think, even with his presence, that they would be able to qualify for the Olympics. Isn't that what he said? I'm
not arguing one way or another. I'm just saying it seems a little odd that they would still give him that, even though they wanted him to play on their team. And does the qualifying part really matter if you're representing country? I don't know. I would say for Joel Embiid, now that he has his gold medal, it would be nice to see him play for Cameroon at some point, even if they don't qualify.
I don't know if you saw like Jokic and like the return party they had for those Olympians. It was probably bigger than like the Celtics parade. So I'm all for how cool it is that Jokic is literally uplifting his whole country. I just, at the core of it, I just cannot understand, Ross. I don't know. Maybe it's just the Patriot in me. I just would I would be cheering for Team USA.
The Minnesota thing's interesting, Kyle. I do like that part of your question because I've thought that same thing. My gut has always been if the Minnesota Vikings win a Super Bowl or the Minnesota Twins win the World Series, I probably go the entire next season with not caring. Okay. Right? They follow it up. They win a championship again for back-to-back. That's great. They go to a conference finals or a championship game again. That's great. I think my grace period would be about a year or two. Once you get 2 or 3 years removed, then I think you're like, well, it would be nice to win another one.
Yeah, the dynasty window's closing. It doesn't have to be back-to-back, but you need like an era of championships.
You guys get filet mignon once, and you start laughing at all their friends eating at McDonald's.
But here's what I would.
That's crazy.
Here's what I'll finish with, Kyle, before Random Wolf of the Week. I honestly can only think about it. It's really tough to fathom it. So I don't even know until it happens how to really feel about it. And I do believe it will happen. I just don't know if it's in this calendar year or 15 years from now, but it will.
So Random Wolf of the Week here, because we got to send Kyle off to his A job and finding another couch or whatever for his new home. So Kyle has a 17-9 lead over me in Random Wolf of the Week. Ross will throw out a series of clues. We each get a heat check guess at the beginning, and then 3 incorrect guesses apiece. If one of us hits a third strike, the other one wins automatically. The last handful of Random Wolves are Kevin Martin, Jeff Teague, Felton Spencer, Kevin Love, and Michael Williams. Here we go.
I also have the score total at 18-9, Phil. I could be wrong here, but I have it at 18-9.
Just stick the dagger in, man.
Kyle's last 3 victories being Kevin Love, Jeff Teague, and Kevin Martin.
Yeah, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
all
9,
recent ones.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. It is 18-9. Yeah.
There we go. All right.
Here we go,
boys. This Random Wolf of the Week is an NBA champion. Wolves that are NBA champions. Heat check. Phil?
Oh, boy. NBA champion Wolves. We already did Kevin Love a few weeks ago.
Brian Cardinal.
Please be correct.
Wait your turn, Kyle.
No, go ahead.
It's not correct.
Let's go.
Shout out to Kilby.
I was totally blanking on Timberwolves who won a championship. Did Wesley Johnson win one? Wesley Johnson. I don't think he won one.
That's not correct. We're on to clue number 2. Again, those ones don't count.
No idea.
This Random Wolf of the Week won his NBA championship with Detroit basketball.
Chauncey Billups.
Is that a guess?
Yes.
Not correct.
Oh, damn it.
I thought that was going to be a burner.
This Random Wolf of the Week played college ball at the Ohio State University.
Oh, so it's not. Okay. Oh, this is an old one.
This Random Wolf of the Week was drafted in the first round by those same aforementioned Detroit Pistons.
Oh, this is like, wow, we're hot here. We're hot here. This is very specific. It's very specific.
This Random Wolf of the Week played for 6 NBA franchises.
Tayshaun Prince.
Tayshaun Prince.
No.
Not correct.
He played at Kentucky.
Phil has one guess left. He's burning them early today. I like it.
Phil's just pushing his chips in. He just got to the casino. He's like, got reservations in an hour.
About Ohio State. I blacked
Phil
out.
may have wanted to wait for this next clue.
Oh.
This Random Wolf of the Week was drafted during the Reagan administration.
Okay, so it's okay.
Okay. So
this one's an old timer, boys.
I have no.
And I'm worried about the clues here because there was not a lot to work with. Reagan administration draft pick, 6 NBA franchises, first round pick of the Detroit Pistons. Those are your recent clues. This random Wolf of the Week, boys, another time frame here for you. Last played in 1996-1997 for the Florida Beach Dogs. Could I even tell you what league
I'm
the
not.
Florida
CBA?
Beach Dogs play in? I'm going to guess CBA.
I'm gonna write that down. I want to see what their logo looks like. That would be such a good jersey to have for a pool
I
party.
actually did look that up. It is kind of cool.
Florida Beach Dogs.
Holy cow! So this is
I also don't know when the Reagan administration was.
This
not
random Wolf of the Week played in 237 games for the Timberwolves.
I'm just racking my brain on those Pistons teams, man. There's so many noteworthy players. Like this is
But does that mean this is a noteworthy player?
no.
This,
What year did Dennis Rodman play for the Timberwolves? That's the question.
this,
Great Ohio State career, that Dennis Rodman.
this random Wolf of the Week gentleman played at 6'7" tall. I say played because it's been a while since this guy played and might not be 6'7" anymore. This random Wolf of the Week averaged 23.2 points and 5.5 rebounds per game in his first season with the team.
With the Wolves?
With the Wolves, yeah.
What?
So not a complete throwaway.
I have no idea. when
That's like
Ronald
one of the
Reagan was
highest
president.
scoring averages in team history. What the hell? This is.
Well, don't get me
I mean, this
scared.
guy's
That,
like probably pretty high on our top 100 Wolves list, which we promise we will get to before the end of the month.
Oh my god, I forgot. Okay, touche.
I'm gonna double check this and make sure I didn't transcribe information wrong. This is if you're watching on YouTube, people are
Dude,
noticing me look left.
23 I'm trying to think. 23 points a game.
Let's go ahead and look here.
Will someone at least tell me when Ronald Reagan was president?
Come on, you gotta know
late
that.
90s. Late
Yeah,
90s, Kyle.
Yeah,
Okay.
the 1960s, Kyle. He was president.
1920s. Yes, he used to play for the Minneapolis Lakers here.
I'm so cooked.
Dude, 23-5 with the Wolves?
Yeah, that's what I got here. Yep,
All right.
23.2 points per game. Had to double check that. That is correct.
And I only have one
This-
guess left. Kyle, I got Kyle
I'll
in a
give you
box,
some of
but I only
mine.
have.
Yeah, you can play this out literally 20 more clues if I had them because I don't know how close Kyle is. This random Wolf of the Week played both small forward and shooting guard. This random Wolf of the Week's single game high in points is 44.
Just a gunner, man. This guy's just.
Mo Williams' dad? I don't know. What's going on?
This random Wolf of the Week, gentlemen, is an original Minnesota Timberwolf.
Okay. Okay.
Oh.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
Because I
You can
gotta be
ask a
careful
question.
here. Okay.
Yep.
Does either his. I'm going to ask it this way. Hold on. His first and last name, is it 4 total syllables?
I love that you're. I don't want you to. No, I do not believe so.
You don't believe so?
I don't believe so.
Oh.
I'm a product of the Lakeville education system, so I could be off by a
I
syllable.
think I
I'm
know.
going to be.
I think you should say what you're thinking.
No, because I'm going to.
He's out of guess.
I have one
Guesses.
guess left. Are you okay on time here, Kyle?
Yeah, no, I want to keep this going until his name rhymes with.
We'll see if this helps you, Phil. This random Wolf of the Week, although a fairly common last name, this random Wolf of the Week is the only player in Wolves history to have his last name. So it's a fairly common last name, but he's the only one in
This
Wolves
is wild,
history
dude.
to ever
This
have
is-
it.
I'm so
This
in trouble.
random Wolf of the Week shares his initials with the Minnesota Twins mascot.
Tyrone Corbin.
That is not correct, Phil.
Dude, that's. Oh, no.
Oh, dude, Phil. Oh, I don't even want this one. I don't want this one. I'm going to get this right, and I'm going to win.
Wait. Initials
But
being...
I would like to give this one to a fan, or like put this in the scorecard. It is 18-9-1. I do not get this victory.
No,
because
you get
Phil
the point.
Spoon fed it to me.
These
But
are
ladies
the
and gentlemen,
rules.
August 15th, Random Wolf of the Week. Shout out to Tony Campbell.
There you go. You got it.
Oh,
The 4-syllable thing threw me for a loop. Tony
It's
Campbell.
Tony
Dude.
Campbell. Tony.
that's
what I'm saying.
That's 4.
Tony
Campbell.
Tony. No, I got one in Tony. Tony.
Tony Campbell.
Okay.
Not that it mattered, because
right.
I was thinking Tyrone Corbin either way.
Alligator. Eat him up.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
Tony.
Congrats to Kyle.
That's
Nice
terrible.
work, dude. Tony Campbell.
The last clue, if you guys want it, that I had, that's all. I try and prepare 15 before we really have to wing it. It's quite possible this Random Wolf of the Week is a big fan of a major soup conglomerate.
Oh, okay. Wow. I'm sorry, Phil. You deserve that.
No,
one.
dude. It's fair and square, man.
Don't ask me to go off script, Phil. You've worked with me long enough. You've known me for 20 years. You think I know how to do
No,
syllables?
I think we need to
Tony
refresh Ross on what a syllable is.
Tony. I feel like you
I'm
can
looking
just
up Tony Campbell's career now.
I feel like you can just make up syllables too. Like Campbell, you got Tony.
Well, we do it when we
Campbell.
chant wild at Wig.
Campbell.
Let's go wild. We turn wild into a 2-syllable. It's not wild.
Ross thinks flagrant howls is 2 syllables. He's like, flagrant howls.
How many syllables is flagrant howls?
Okay, hang on. I'm gonna try and go off what you did. 3.
Nice job.
I would like to thank the Lakeville education system for grades 1 through 12, and the now defunct Brown College for
Top 100 Timberwolves. Top 100. Coming to you 2
May-
weeks from now.
maybe in a few weeks.
Flagrant howls, your favorite Timberwolves lifestyle podcast.
Alligator.